Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud Course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Now for the track guide. Guys, my course is on Black Friday. This will be the last week of the month, so if you want to get it at a discounted price, check out gitgudracing.com. Now going into the track guide itself, for turn 1 you really want to brake earlier than you think. The braking point will be earlier than this ESO board on the right side. You want to put your car all the way brushing the wall almost, so as close as you can to the right side, braking before this ESO banner on the right. So notice that this is a very early braking point. We will downshift to 4th gear, and what's important right now is the trail brake, because notice that from this point up until our apex, that's a lot of distance that we have to cover, and if we will drop the brakes, what's gonna happen is that the car will understeer. So in order to carry this speed, we want to still trail up until we hit the anti-curbs on the inside. So still on the brakes, still on the brakes, still trail braking, still trail braking, still trail braking up until here. And we really want to cut this green part with our left tire. So when we have our left tires on top of it, then we can push the throttle aggressively. And the more you cut here, the more time you will gain. First of all, it's gonna be easier to put the power down. You have more space on your exit, but also because you're using more track, both on entry but here on the apex, you're gonna be able to just carry a couple more extra kph. So your minimum speed will be a bit higher, keep that in mind. Now on your exit, you should aim to use all this part like this, keeping the throttle pinned. If you do corrections here on the throttle on your exit, on your way out, and you don't have like almost a straight vertical shape with your throttle, you will lose time. It means that you didn't get a perfect trail brake in the braking phase. Now we will bring the car all the way to the left and before the blue cone, so the braking point here will be a bit tough. But generally it's better to brake earlier and focus on the trail brake than braking super hard, cooking the tires and also missing the apex. So I judge the distance based on the blue cone, like right now, applying the brakes, and again, notice the trail braking. Still on the brakes, in the lower 10%, still holding, and then when we're close to this curb, we want to cut as much as we can and put the power down. You don't want to use all the space here on your exit. You don't want to stay on the green part here, because if you touch this curb, the car can spin and also the car will be sluggish to turn. So once the tire goes up and down on those anti-curbs, when you apply a steering angle to bring the car back on the right, the car will be unsettled. So avoid this green part of the curb. Just put your tire like we're doing here on the red and white. Don't use too much the green. Now pushing all the way here, this is gonna be flat. And for the next corner, you have to notice that the track opens up a bit. So at this point in time, you can see that on the left side of the white line, we have a bit more space. You have to use it. And the reference for braking will be this exit road on the left, this concrete exit road. We will brake slightly past it. So like right now, we're applying the brakes, but notice that we're trying to squeeze every inch out of the braking in terms of using all the track. Pushing the brakes, and again, it's just a matter of proper trail braking, because again, we're in 4th gear as in previous corners, so we're not getting the rotation from the downshift. This car is very lazy to downshift, but we are getting it from the trail brake. Still on the brakes, look here, still trailing, and earlier than the apex you should be on throttle here in this corner. So the rotation point will be a bit earlier than the apex. The apex is at this green part of the curve, like right now, this is the apex. but we have to be earlier than the apex back on throttle because this leads to a big straight. This is a big straight right now. So because this corner leads to this straight, the exit is way more important. So on entry, we want to get the rotation early enough. We don't want to push very hard with the braking. With the braking points, it's better to be a bit slower on entry, but to rotate the car properly rather than to carry a bit more speed. And with that extra speed, we can't properly rotate the car and we're gonna lose on exit. Look at the throttle trace. It's straight vertical up, a slight modulation here because we're running off the track, but still, if you brush this gravel, it still won't be an off track, so you can still get away with this. Now bringing the car all the way back to the right side, and at the 100 meter board, we're gonna apply the brakes. So here is the 100, slightly past the 100, we are on the brakes. Straight line braking, super important. In the first phase of braking, keep the steering wheel straight. Don't brake and slightly turn towards the left. Even though in the next corner is a left-hander, you don't want to have like 5 degrees of steering angle towards the left because your budget of grip has to go into braking here. Because this is quite a heavy braking zone, so you will see that we're hitting close to 80-85. You don't want to reach 100%, so don't brake late and hard. You will just cook your tires. Brake a slightly bit earlier and try maintaining around 80% brake pressure, like it's shown here in the telemetry graph. But what you have to know here is that, especially with the fixed setup, you can cut a lot these curbs and you will gain a lot of lap time. So we will try to cut as much as we can, and again, this chicane leads to a big straight. So we want to be early on the gas. So look what's happening here. We're trying to get the rotation early enough, and at this point in time, we're already back on throttle. So already back on the gas, cutting through this chicane, almost like imagine like we're trying to draw like a straight line in between this chicane. You don't want to go like a snake in an S like this won't be efficient. We want to find the maximum amount of cutting that we can do without unsettling the car too much and without getting the slowdown in this corner, so that we can straighten up the line as much as we can. So this is exactly what's happening here. And again, we're using fourth gear in this corner as well, cutting a lot here, cutting a lot there as well. Notice that the car gets unsettled, but it's still gonna be faster than going like a snake. The exit was very good because we're super early on the gas. Now for this corner, the reference for braking is exactly after you take this left-hander. You see this left-hander opens up and there's a bit of texture here on the dirt that you can use. So put your left tire here so you can shorten the distance and already be in an advantageous position for the next corner. And when this ends, like right now, and you have almost straightened up the wheel, you will apply the brakes. So brake again, brake early. We'll brake a bit heavier into this chicane. So we're going around 90% on the brakes, and we will go to third gear here. It's the first corner where we're not using fourth, we're going to third gear. Again, we have to cut a lot in the first one because the first corner of the chicane will dictate the result that we get out of the chicane. If you don't cut enough in the first one, you will have to slow down more for the second one, because again, we're almost trying to take like a straight line. So again, in third gear, using the steering wheel a lot, and if there's one word you can have in your mind for this chicane, is fast hands. Notice how quickly you have to go from right to left. Look, right, left immediately. So quick hands, cut as much as you can, and after you trail brake all the way to the second, then you're gonna go confidently on throttle, reach 100% throttle before hitting the curb on the right side. This is key. And while you're apexing here, try to hit this white anti-curb on the inside, like this. Cut as much as you can. You might need to do some throttle corrections because the car will go wide, but still, if you're aiming to cut all the way to the white anti-curb, that's gonna be fine. You will use all the track, and now we have like a good run up until the hairpin. And for the hairpin, heavy braking zone, reference for braking will be this 100 meter board. Exactly at the 100, applying the brakes. Again, for this corner, we want to brake. This is the heaviest braking corner of the track, so you will go to 85-90% on the brakes. And then whenever you will downshift to second gear, you want to cut this curb on the inside as much as you can. You have to cut it a lot because there's a lot of lap time to be gained. The more you cut here this curb in comparisons with the others, it doesn't unsettle the car. It's almost like a flat surface, and because of that you will gain even more by cutting because the car won't get unsettled at all. So look how much we're cutting here, and then putting the throttle back on, pushing the gas. What's gonna be key here will be hitting this curb, this one right here on your way out, because you will notice that if you're not pushing the throttle early enough, look how early the throttle application is in this case. If you're not pushing the throttle this early, what you will notice is that the car won't reach this curb on the left side. So if you notice that you're not using all the track on your way out, try to be more aggressive with the throttle. In terms of the braking itself for this corner, flat surface, no elevation change, it's like a textbook hairpin. You have to hit peak pressure and hold it constant. Don't drop it up and down, because every time you're gonna drop the peak pressure, you're not gonna squeeze everything from the braking, because it's no elevation change. The most important part about braking is holding constant pressure. So now putting the power down, and we're heading into the last chicane, which can be a bit tricky, but with this car it's not so bad because we can cut a lot. Again, the braking point will be in between the 100 and this blue banner. So around here, you see it's more closer to the blue banner. We're gonna apply the brakes. We will brake again quite hard here because once again we pick up the speed. And in third gear, we will cut as much as we can here. Look how much this is. This is what you should be aiming for. So it's a common theme, right, in this track with all these chicanes. If you don't cut enough in the first corner of the chicane, you will be exposed in the second one. So the first one dictates the outcome. You really want to cut a lot like this, pushing the throttle immediately in between the chicanes, trying to reach 100% before the second one. Now dropping the throttle because the car will get unsettled when we will cut the second one, and then bring it back up using all the track. And in short, that's a track guide around Zolder with the BMW M4 GT4. Hope you like it, hope you enjoy it. If you want to improve at a quicker pace, check out my sim racing course. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.